So we have a TopLink REST service, basically giving us information about a department based on a parameter. Copy the URL and let's go into JDeveloper and build an Oracle MAF application that is able to show us the data and interact with this TopLink layer. So we're just creating a simple basic application, call it application 55 or 56. And we're going to create a single feature here, we'll call it the depth feature. And we're also going to create a content of type AMX page. So let's create a simple AMX page. So in order to work with the REST service, we can use the ability to create REST service data control. So from the gallery, under the web service section, pick up the web service data control and give it a name and mark it as a REST service and define the connection. And you can basically copy the URL that you had before, give it a meaningful name, and copy the URL, and you can test the connection. Note that for this URL, you're actually not going to need everything. We're actually going to take the last part of it, the department and 30, and remove it from this URL. Okay, and we're going to pass this as one of the methods. So this is kind of a more generic URL to the service. And then here's a method for fetching departments. And you can then add another method, for example, to fetching employees. 30 is actually something we want to provide as a parameter. So we're going to, instead of having a hard-coded value, types 2 hashes, a name for a parameter and another 2 hashes. Mark this method as a get method, give it a name. Go to the next page, and if you click, you can actually see the parameter, and you can even give it a default value. Click next again. You can test your connection, make sure that it's successful, and click finish. Now you have a data control that has been created for you with the method and the returned value, and you can even see the structure of the department that is being returned to you. So back at our page, okay, now if we expand the data control panel, we'll see our new department, and we can again expand it, see all the structure here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the method first and drag it into the page, and this will help us in terms of creating a parameter form. So very easily, drag it into the page and choose a parameter form. You have one parameter that you're passing, the department ID. If you want it to be a little bit more friendly, the text for the button, for example, can say find instead of the name of the method. So you'll get this one. And then go over, pick up the return value, and just drag it into the page again. Let's drop it, for example, as a read-only form. All right. And that's our page. If you actually run now, you'll get an error, because when you run it the first time, the web service will try to execute with an empty parameter. So what we're going to do is pick up this value of the parameter, and we're going to use it to condition the execution of the query. All right, so what we're going to do is go to the binding. You'll see 2 executables here. And for each one of those, you're going to set the refresh condition to say that the input value of the parameter not equal null, so NE null. Okay. This basically tells the binding layer not to try and execute the REST call unless there is a value in the parameter. Okay, so this is kind of a useful way to delay the execution of the method. Now click Save, and let's deploy it to our phone simulator. So here's our phone, and here's our application here at the end. When we open it, we'll get a page with a parameter at the top. We can insert a value. So let's pick up, for example, department 40. Click Find, and we'll get department 40 data in our page. Put in another name of a department, and click Find, and you'll find those details. Alright, so next let's see how we add the delete operation. So we are going to go to our data control, right? And we're going to click to edit it. And over here, the same method can actually also be a delete method. So same resource path, a new method call it del depth, and it still has the same parameter associated with it. We probably want to give it something that is a value that doesn't exist in the table, so don't delete by mistake. And that's our data control update. Next we're going to go over to our page, okay, and we're going to add this method over here as a link to the top of the page. So we're just going to drag and drop it, okay, up here before this button, and let's add it, for example, as a link, right? And we need to provide a parameter, the department ID, and we can basically pick up the same parameter that we're passing to the search. So if we use the expression language builder, it's easy to navigate to the binding, and over there locate our department ID object, there we go, and pick up the input value. Okay, so bindings, department ID, input value. Click OK, and that's basically what we're passing to this method. We can now rename this button so the text would say something more meaningful, like remove, and let's remove this unnecessary button here in this secondary facet, like that. Right, so let's save and deploy our application to our emulator. And while it's deploying, we can also navigate to the database browser and look up the database that we're using in this application. Alright, and we can open a SQL worksheet on that one. And let's put in a department that we're willing to remove. We just do an insert into the department with a new department number 666. And we can also open up the table browser to actually show us the data, make sure that the value is in there. So if we scroll down, here it is. Okay, so our department is here. And here's our mobile application. Click the application 56 and we can do the search. So just like before, put in like a department number and click find the department number. Let's look up another number, and let's look up department 666, find it, and then we can just click remove to remove it. So there's no change in the UI right now, but if you actually go to the table and you refresh, okay, like that, you'll see that instead of 28 records after the refresh we only have 27. That's it.